says it shows us.
Okay.
We're on. Okay. Well, welcome to a Soulful Pause. Good morning, everyone. I'm Josette Diaz, and I'm a self-awareness coach for women in midlife. And I have the pleasure of speaking with Sabrina Victoria today. And I'm so excited to bring you Sabrina because Sabrina is a phenomenal woman. And you're going to get to find out a lot more about her. But let me tell you a little bit right now. Sabrina Victoria is a seasoned entrepreneur and TEDx speaker with a background in door to door sales. She brings over 2 decades of experience of building and co building multiple 6 and 7 figure businesses to Her Nation, a dynamic media platform showcasing business owners through engaging podcasts, virtual magazine features, and empowering events. Her charismatic leadership style centers on community building, education, and strategic networking as the core of success for women in business. She is the host of Her Talk Show and leads several networking business workshops and masterminds per week, everybody, to help female business owners thrive. So I am just so excited to have you with me, Sabrina. Thank you for coming on. And
Yes.
yes, so how are you doing today?
I'm doing so good. Absolutely. I'm starting my new earrings today, so I'm
They're
excited to see them
gorgeous.
flickering in the lights.
I love that. I love the green. It's so
Thank
pretty.
you. Me too.
Well, we are going to talk today about the global impact that Sabrina is making and the vision that she has for her global corporation, right? Are
Yeah.
you? Yes. So, um, I'd like to just start off by get the conversation going by asking you, like, what are the key principles or mindset shifts that are essential for you when you first start thinking about scaling a business globally, like on a global
Mhm.
level? How did that come about for you, and what did you have to go through to make that shift?
Yeah. So I have like a real answer for the global thing, like a real answer.
Cool.
Um it happened. I didn't know at all what this would look like, right? But
Mhm.
15 years ago, Her Nation was is since 2021. So 15
Yeah.
years ago, well,
Wow.
when I was in an abusive relationship, one of the first like motivational speakers that I started listening to was Joel Osteen, which is like a biblical
Yeah.
kind of motivational speaker down in Texas. Um, he was telling a story about his dad.
Mm.
And he's like, my father, because his father they own like a mega church. His father started the mega church. And he said, my father started this church in a little itty bitty, tiny itty bitty building.
Yeah.
And when he incorporated us, he called it whatever, international.
Okay.
Because his vision, even though he was in a little tiny building that had like 100 seats in it,
Right.
he knew deep down inside
Yeah.
that this little itty bitty building with 100 seats in it was going to be international. And it is. It now plays all over the world globally on like several stations, radio stations, TV stations, and they have an enormous center. And that stuck with me. Even
Yeah.
though none of this even existed, that has resonated with me since then.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in my lowest point.
Mm.
And to kind of piggyback off of what you're asking,
Yeah.
I believe that you never have anything inside of you, a belief, a vision that isn't yours.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the belief, if you have the vision, if you have the thought, it's yours. I really do believe that for real. Because when you think about it, like there's 1,000 things that we could be. There's millions of things we could be, right? We could build
Yeah.
cars, we could build phones, could be doctors, nurses, astronauts, we could be vets, but we all have a vision in our mind of like what we ultimately want to be or what we ultimately want to become. We all have like a burning desire within us. And I
Hmm.
believe that if you have that burning desire with you, it's your vision, it's your dream, but then you have to take the actions to be able to create that thing.
That's right.
So my whole thing with getting to where I was to where I'm going,
Hmm.
right? Not where I am, because where I
Yeah.
am is just the beginning, but where I am going, it's very important to make sure that my vision stays very clear, that I'm very focused on it, even though it continues to pivot, it continues to change, it continues to evolve. I am focused on where it is today, and the actions that I'm taking today are directly aimed at that vision for what it is.
Hmm.
But yeah, this global thought process literally hit me 15 years ago. And yeah, and when Her Nation, Her Nation even started out, again, lots of pivots, lots of turns. Like, I actually like the fact that you were like, are you incorporated? Because we actually just incorporated this year. A lot of
Congratulations.
people don't know that. So my business previously was Human Better 365. I was going to be working with all humans, very similar vision.
Hmm.
But in 2022, I went all in on women. And then 2024, this year, I finally incorporated Her Nation Global. And I went with global. And that was a huge deal for me
Yeah.
because of the vision that I had back then with the word international.
I think that's such a good point that you're bringing up. Like it's important to the strength of your vision has to always be there. It can change, it can mold into something a little bit different, but there's always that core vision that stays with you. And to see it with the end in mind
Yeah,
is huge for maintaining that vision. So
absolutely.
I love that. And you said something else that I thought was really interesting about how, even though you originally, like we have like an original vision that we think this is where we're going to go and end up. And then as we learn things about,
Mhm.
what we're doing, it then feeds us something else.
Yeah,
And I really believe the same as you in the sense, I use different wording for it, but you said that if you think it, it's yours,
yeah.
right? Like it belongs to me. That's like what's meant for you finds you.
Mm,
And so even though I may have a vision of like opening a bakery, somebody else does and somebody else does, yet my bakery is unique to the vision that I have and what I possess. And so my bakery will be different. It will taste different. It will feel different. Right. So,
yeah.
not that I'm not comparing you to a bakery. I'm just saying that a lot of people have similar visions, but it's all different for each
Yeah.
person.
Yeah, and I think what's so important, and this comment isn't for everyone. Like, a lot of people open a bakery and then they stay with
Mhm.
that bakery for their whole life. And
Yeah.
they hand it off to their kids, right?
Right.
But I believe also with that the bakery is the door opening for what is ultimately supposed to be.
Mm.
And the reason so many individuals stay stuck is because they never do the one thing. What always comes to me is a long time ago when I first started my entrepreneurial journey on my own. I started in the health space, health and fitness. I was a yoga instructor, a spin instructor. I was a vegan back then. I was so thin. And everything that I was doing, I was doing recipe books, I was doing workout books, and my vision for myself was like retreats and opening up a fitness center and becoming like a yoga instructor and being almost like a hippie-esque with like floral dresses and um like little um feather earrings, like that whole vibe. And I was 100% committed to it. And I
Mhm.
remember in one of the classes, there was individuals speaking, and one of the girls was like, I really want to be a yoga instructor. I've been thinking about doing this for years, like 10 years, and I've just never done it. Like I've never committed to doing it. And I remember just thinking to myself, like, what a shame.
Yeah.
What a shame, because the yoga is possibly where she's not necessarily supposed to be doing the yoga.
Hmm.
Right? It's that the yoga was the opening for what ultimately was supposed to become. But because
That's
she
right.
never did the yoga, she was never allowed to evolve into what was next. So I've always kind of kept that in the back of my mind as far as like, listen, I am fully committed. Like whatever I'm doing, I'm fully committed 100%. My vision is pure
Hmm.
and I'm all in. However, I always leave space for evolution. I
Yes.
always leave space for myself to be able to evolve. I always keep the box open, and I'm very verbal. I'm very open and authentic with my community, with my
Mhm.
ladies, with my audience as to where I'm going and the vision that I have and where it's changing and where it's shifting. And it's been just an absolutely beautiful thing to do. I don't hold back, and I don't really second guess myself. I
Yeah.
very much sit in like a gut intuition type feel. I go all in and then I pivot. If it's not working, I pivot.
Yeah.
And it has literally never steered me wrong.
That is amazing. And you're so right about that. I mean, I can just speak for myself that when I started off, I was a Reiki practitioner and I started doing just sessions and I'm a master teacher. So I started teaching at my local adult school. And that's how I started. And
I
I
love that.
wanted to do coaching, and it all evolved into that. But you're right. If I hadn't done the years that I spent doing a Reiki practice and teaching others, I wouldn't have developed the meditations that I do. I wouldn't have developed the style and the techniques that I use when I coach because it's more than just chatting, you know, or
Yeah.
coming up with goals. So I think that's brilliant to like give yourself the space. It's like this and what else,
Yeah.
right?
I love that. Yeah. And this
Hmm.
and oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm writing that down. That's great.
So how would you say that like navigating complexities of entering like an international market um, and maintaining like the integrity and the core of what it is that her nation global is meant for.
Yeah.
Do you see is that something that you've kind of built some structure around or some infrastructure around in order
Mhm.
to keep that integrity for yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Am I there yet? No. Not at all. However, I'm doing a deep, deep dive into companies like
Mhm.
mine, community-like companies, who run globally and really paying attention to how they run their structures,
Yeah.
what it looks like on a daily basis, where their instruction is coming from, how methodical, how structured is it, along with the individuals that are pulled up into um, a higher status. Like, what does
Mhm.
that person look like? What are their responsibilities? What are they called? Where are they at? So really being open to that, being
Yeah.
aware of that as the years go on, and also just taking into consideration the time, right? A lot of times when don't even want to say a lot of times, I feel like all the time with humans, we want to like hurry up,
Yeah.
right? We want to
Yeah.
hurry up and get to the final destination. However, my all of the success that I've had over the years and all of the businesses that I have run, patience is the number one quality that I am so proud of that
Yeah.
I possess.
Yeah.
So, as much as I want to be like, hurry up and do all of the things, I'm also very aware of the time that's necessary for me to be able to sit in certain spaces and learn everything that I need to learn. And then also train the
Mhm.
individuals that are necessary to train in order to get me to where I want our community to be in the future. So, a lot of long-term thinking, a lot of heavy visualizations every single day as to what I want her nation to look like, where I want it to be, um, the buildings that I want it to look like, the
Mhm.
virtual world, what I want that to look like. One of the things that I'm very open to is just how are other people doing it. That's one of the things that I tell my ladies all the time. It's like, listen, who is doing something similar to what you are doing? How are they doing it? We
Yeah.
need to constantly be looking at people that are 17 steps ahead of us and
Right.
also 2 steps ahead of us. We don't always want to be looking at people that are 100 steps ahead of us because it's too far of a reach. So we need somebody who's just a couple steps, and then we need somebody who's maybe a dozen or 2 steps ahead of us to kind of see where the next stepping stone is
Mhm.
for us to follow.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's sort of like when you start scaling your business to a level that you've never reached before,
Yeah.
it gets terrifying. It's a little scary, and then you can slip back to where you originally were because that's a comfort zone. So,
Yeah.
it's really smart to look at someone that's 2 steps ahead that feels reachable, that you can adjust your thinking to get comfortable there so that you can then reach that 17 steps ahead of you.
Exactly, exactly. One of the things that we just implemented with an H Club probably over the last month is this concept of just kind of making things easier, going all in on one product and going all in on one social. There's
Mhm.
so much overwhelm right now with all of these gurus telling us that we need to be in all the places all the time, every day. And it's so much, it's like a lot for us to be able to handle.
Yeah,
Just the social media part.
right?
Just the social media
Yeah.
part takes so much time. So it's like, listen, we're over here and we're comparing ourselves to the Grant Cardones, the Gary V's, the Lisa Nichols of the world. And these people have teams. These
Right.
people have huge teams behind them that
Mhm.
do all this work for them. It's not even comprehensible for us at this
Mhm.
point as to how they're running their businesses. So first step, right? You have to know what your first step is. Your first step is one product, one social media, then add a second, then add a third, then add a fourth, then add an assistant, then add a team, right? Like the
Mhm.
amount of work that I'm doing in my business now today is different than it was a year ago because I have a team that's helping me out tremendously on the back end. But I had to go through all of the steps to, like, learn everything by myself, learn everything that needed to be done, so then I could train somebody else on how to do it. So
Yeah.
many people wanna skip that step, and it's not really a skippable step because they don't know how to run your business.
Mhm.
You have to figure out how to run it and how much time it takes to run it so that you know how to pay people appropriately. And then as that starts to happen, right, you're giving more and more responsibility to those individuals that then frees up your creativity. That's the key,
Yes.
is the
Oh,
creativity.
I
Yeah,
love that.
because our visions can be stifled very easily. So once we start to kind of relinquish some of that control
Mhm.
to other individuals or to a team, then all of a sudden that gives my mind the ability to be able to free up space to then think
Mm.
in brighter colors
Mm.
than it was when it was heavy and it was burdened down with all of the daily to-do lists. But both of them, right? All of it is necessary to be able to build a sustainable business.
That's really, valuable information for anybody who is in business, either starting or is somewhat seasoned. Because I think that so often, I know from my own experiences that, you know, sometimes you wanna skip to the end because you're kind of a little afraid of all the little parts in between,
Yeah.
and without recognizing that you're actually afraid of those little pieces in between, you kind of skip ahead and then you have to go back.
Yeah.
And so it becomes like this, it can be frustrating, and I think you have to have a lot of tenacity to continue to move forward. And, I wanna kinda switch gears a little bit and ask you a little bit more of a heart-centered question around why women, why her nation, why empowered health and wealth.
Oh, girl. Health, wealth, leadership, those were the areas that I struggled with the most. When my story is I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness. I got pregnant very young at 20 years old, and Jehovah's Witnesses are a very strict religion. And because of that, I was seen as a sinner and I was disfellowshipped. I lost contact with my whole family, my whole community, everyone I had ever known. And I led this horrible, dark life of just like, abusive relationships, having no money, having no voice. My mental health, my emotional health, my financial health was just in the gutter.
Yeah.
And it's not because I was dumb.
Mm-hmm.
It was because I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
See, that's the key. A lot of people are like, well, I don't know. But it's even deeper than that, because there's things that you don't know that you don't know. So it's almost like you're so stuck. You're like stuck
Yeah.
because it's so deep down in there. So it wasn't until I started really diving deep into personal development when I finally
Mm-hmm.
started to be like, oh my gosh, what am I doing with my life? And what really occurred to me is kind of looking around, and as I was learning more and more, and I was going to events, I was going to seminars, I was learning from gurus, I was reading books and podcasts and YouTube videos, I started to realize, like, wow, so much of this is not known by
Mm-hmm.
the masses, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
different now because now, the surge is like so big now. It's wonderful. But back then, 10, 12 years
Yeah.
ago, it was not a thing. And so I really just dove into this we need help with our health, we need help with our wealth, and we need help with our leadership skills. I think those are the three things that so many women get stuck in, where we feel saddened, and there's not enough conversations around it. So, yeah, I went in on all three of those words because those are the three words that resonated the most with my story,
Yeah.
and the areas of which, when I was looking around, that I saw needed the most, I don't want to say help, but the most like um conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm a member and I absolutely love being in her nation. It's the best.
Yeah.
And so I can attest to the fact that I feel women definitely need that guidance,
Yeah.
a little, someone kind of saying, go in this direction,
Yeah.
you know, think about these things because this is what's going to tease it out, you know? And so that is really beautiful guidance that you're offering women that they really need because I think especially, now that there are so many entrepreneurs, just over since 2008, we've had a slew of, I don't even know the numbers, but I know it's a lot. And and because of that, entrepreneurship is a whole different thing. It's not the same as having a job in corporate or anywhere else. And you have to it's such an internal it's as much of an internal journey as it is an external journey.
Yeah.
That's
And I think that's one of the things that individuals need to realize, when we were talking earlier about hurrying up or
mhm,
the patience that's needed. The whole idea of entrepreneurship is not the prize at the end, it's the journey.
right.
So you either are an entrepreneur or you're not, right? Like,
Mhm,
even though
mhm,
entrepreneurs are very much like not necessarily enjoying the whole process of it,
right.
there's an acknowledgement of this is the process. This is the journey, whether or not I like it or not. It's kind of like working out. Like, do we like to be working out as we're working out? Not necessarily.
No.
But do we appreciate the progress? Do we identify as, right?
Yeah,
and
we
we
like the
do the
results.
thing. Yeah, exactly. We
Mhm.
do the things that maybe we don't always like, but we do the things because it fits along with the journey or the identity that we are creating for ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to recognize that, like, if this is that painful for you, like if entrepreneurship is there's a difference between like complaining and
Right.
just like "Meh," and then
Yeah.
literally just like waking up and not being able to function for like months at a time.
Mhm.
I mean, that's when you really have to take a second look, like, listen, am I cut out for this? I
Right.
think the other thing that we have to recognize is that there's a difference between entrepreneurship and being a business owner. These are two things that are a lot of times put together. Like when I talk about H Club, the community that you're a part of, it's
Mhm.
I say entrepreneurs and business owners. And the reason I say both instead of just one or the other is because it's two totally different mindsets. So
Yeah.
that's the other thing that a lot of times so many of us are not aware of. So then we're confused. And the difference is this: I like to put it in an analogy. I love stories, I love visuals. So let's say a business owner and entrepreneur are both pizza restaurant owners. Okay.
Mhm.
A business owner who owns a pizza restaurant will run that pizza restaurant day and night, all day long. It's his per pride and joy.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll open up one other pizza restaurant and they plan to hand that pizza restaurant down to their kids. And they're super excited about it. And they work every single day and it's their pride and joy. And they know everyone in the community. And it's just a wonderful place to be. And the pizzas are the best, right? Business owner. Now, an
Mhm.
entrepreneur who runs a pizza restaurant, same exact thing, right? It's part of the family. They're all excited. They're going to hand it down to the kids. They open up a second Pizza Hut. Everyone knows them in the community. It's the best pizza ever. But this is the difference. They open up a third. They open up a fourth. They open up a fifth. Then they decide to start selling their pizza sauce at Walmart and Target. They start freezing their pizzas and selling those at Walmart and Target, right? They start
Mhm.
franchising the pizza store and allowing other
Right.
owners. See, it's the same exact thing. A person who owns a pizza shop, but the
It's a
vision
yeah.
is two totally different
Yeah.
visions for themselves. So we
Mhm.
have to think to ourselves, which mindset? Because sometimes when we're in and amongst a crowd of both,
Yeah.
we're feeling pressure for this big vision, but our big vision isn't necessarily, it's too overwhelming,
Yeah.
right? So having the mindset and just kind of like labeling, it makes you feel better. Like, hey, listen, I'm more of a business owner versus I'm more of an entrepreneur. Knowing which one you are right there can lighten the load
That's so
so
true.
much. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, because you are gonna move forward and the things that you do in your business will be completely different
absolutely.
based on that mindset.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can still be in and amongst both, right? Because you want to
Yeah.
be among people who are
Mhm.
moving forward. But you yourself knowing at what capacity, I think, is very, very important. So we don't feel so heavy because
Mhm.
our vision for our business is totally different than maybe somebody else's.
Yes, and I think that that's such a good distinction to make because we can get so trapped in what we think it's supposed to look like what you mentioned a moment ago about not knowing what you don't know
Yeah.
and not having some fundamental understanding of those two different explanations of being um, a free agent, so to speak.
Yeah.
you know, really makes the difference of understanding yourself in where you are headed in your business, like what your vision is. And not
Yeah.
everybody has the vision to add the, grocery store lines and, to freeze their pizzas. And so, and then some are just fine with having something that's kind of like a simple, I just want to be able to do this.
Yeah, totally. Like some people I down here in Florida, there's massage therapists that have been massage
Hmm.
therapists for 30 years.
Yeah.
And they bring the little bed thing to somebody's house and that's all they do. They just see two or
Yeah.
three clients every day for years. Their life is very free-nilly. They go to the beach every day. They only work a few hours a day.
Yeah.
And they do one-on-ones. They make really good money and that's all they do. They're
Hmm.
totally fine with that.
Right.
Versus an entrepreneur who's like, "Oh, I'm gonna have a building, I'm gonna
Yeah.
hire people, I'm gonna,
Yeah.
market out some massage lotion oils," and
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
So we
all
just
those
have to know
things.
where we're at.
So what is it that I know that you have the vision and the big vision, and this is like the biggest um, topic that we're talking about. What drives you? Like, what's at the core of what drives you each morning that you get the most excited about?
Hmm. I mean, if you want a visual, it's the stages.
Mm,
The vision that I have for Her Nation Global is to have just enormous stages with our women within H Club, coming out and teaching under health, teaching under wealth, teaching under relationships, leadership, power, and speaking to an audience of not only women but men and women, showing up as an expert, as an authority in a space of which you have chosen, and being able to educate massive amounts of people
mm,
to see things differently, to view things differently, to show up differently, and to really start breaking cycles in a massive way, in a massive
yeah.
way, not one at a time. Right. I know
Mm,
we have this whole, if I can just, that's one of the most frustrating things when I'm on calls with people is, Sabrina, my whole, they write a book, right? They spend all this time writing a book and they put all their heart and soul into the book and sometimes a lot of money into their book.
mhm.
And then they're like, if just one person reads it, and I change one person's life. And although I get it.
Right.
Like, girl, I am with you.
Yeah.
Yes, the humbleness of that,
Right.
I get it. But like, is that what we're really trying to do here? Like, are we really trying to
Yeah.
just change one person at a time? Girl, that's gonna take forever. Like, all of us have to
Yeah.
write a book and invest in a book to change one person's life. Like, dude, no, I'm not
That
down
will
with
take a
that.
long time.
Yeah, so it's like my vision is let's not change one person's life. Let's change hundreds of thousands of people's
Mhm.
lives at a time in a year, which then
Right.
turns into millions and then eventually billions. Why
Yes.
not?
No,
It's like why? Okay, well, why not?
yeah.
What else are we doing? I mean, that's my whole thing. And I offend people sometimes with that because it's like we're supposed to be resting and taking care of ourselves and rest, self-care. But that's just not how my mind works.
Mhm.
My mind just does not, I'm not one of those people. For me, it's like, dude, if I'm going to be sitting down at a beach, I'm just not down with that. Like, my mind is like, I have a goal, I have a vision. That doesn't mean I don't take time off. That doesn't mean that I
Sure.
don't rest every once in a while, but it's very short spurts of that because I got shit to do.
Right? Yeah, I hear
Yeah,
you. What
I
and
got
I
shit to
think
do.
yes, and I think that your point to the one person. I mean, we all know one person ripples out, you're also if it's healing, you're healing generationally, the past and the future. All of that is wonderful. If you can impact more than one person though, why
Yeah,
wouldn't you want to? Is what
yeah,
I hear you saying.
yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah.
And I think in groups too, because so many times, I mean, I'm not saying everyone is like this, but I think the majority of individuals, humans in general, we thrive in community. We
Mhm.
thrive in
Mhm.
storytelling. We thrive in like seeing others succeed. We thrive in coming together. Like, look at the example of New York with
Yeah.
9/11. Like, New York is
Sure.
known as being the most abrasive city in the country. Everybody knows that. Yet everybody, they were talking about it all over the place.
Yeah.
Everybody was coming together in New York City to help
Mhm.
each other out. That is humans. Humans innately want to come together and they want to help each other. So why not lean into that?
Mhm.
Right? When we're
Mhm.
speaking, it's not like, oh, speaking on stages and then that's it. It's like, yes, speaking on stage is bringing us together, seeing the commonality, and then going off and doing one-on-ones, right?
Right.
Where it's not
Yeah.
like just stop doing the one, like Josette's not allowed to do one-on-ones anymore. You keep doing your one-on-ones, keep diving deep. But then every once in a while, we need to come together as a group and say, hey, listen, I hear you. Listen, I get you. Listen, there's hundreds of people here that think just like you do, who have
Hmm.
been through situations just like you. And we're moving past. We're moving past. And sometimes, I mean, that's my story. My story is like, I remember sitting in the darkness and thinking to myself, there's no way. There's no way that I can get out of this situation. There's absolutely no way. And what I did is I Googled up motivational speakers, inspirational speakers, and I
Hmm.
heard, oh, I just on repeat over and
Yeah.
over and over again, people telling me in my ear, it's possible. You
Yeah.
can do anything. Anything is possible. Hearing stories of triumph, stories of people overcoming, stories of people that have pivoted, changed, refocused, came out, endured. And I'm like, dude, if all these people can do it, maybe I can do it too.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think that, you know, the fact that you had the thought to look for something more
Yeah.
was the dream already calling you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I'd like to ask on that train of thought, when you go through something in your life, because we all have stuff that just comes by and, can sideswipe us,
Hmm.
how do you keep yourself on track and still remain focused and still get all the things done when you're dealing with something that um, might normally take someone out of their mindset of their vision? Do you know what I'm
Yes.
asking?
Yeah. 100%. First of all, I don't stay on track, just like everybody else. But this is the difference. And I learned this in the health and fitness world. So the wagon, right? You fell off
Yeah.
the wagon. So you're
Yeah.
going hard and the working out and you're doing all the things you're supposed to be and you're showing up at the gym and you're running, you're eating right. And then one day on a Saturday, you get in a fight with your boyfriend and you're like, "Mah," and then you eat 7 donuts, right? People do this. And then they're like, crap. And then they're like, oh, I had 7 donuts. What's the big freaking deal? So then they get some chips and then whatever. You get it. Everyone has done this before. But then this is the difference, right? For a large amount of people, that'll happen. And
Mhm.
then the next day they're like, well, I ate like freaking 7 donuts yesterday. So like I don't even work out today. Today's my day off. So I'm just gonna like throw it up in the wind and have like some ribs and some French fries and freaking right. And we dive
Yeah,
in
yeah,
another day.
yeah.
And then Monday comes along and then we're like, dude, I don't even want to work out. Like, let me just take a day off. Like I ate so much fucking food. Let me just and then before you know it, you just stop going to the gym. You haven't been to the gym in 6 months and you've gained 17 pounds.
And it was
This is what
easy.
people do
Yeah.
because they fell off the wagon one little itty bitty time. They then
Mhm.
take that and they blow it out of proportion, like
Yeah.
insanely. So, this is what I do. Like, yeah, every once in a while I sit down, I eat 7 donuts. Not really, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I'm like sad or I'm mad at my business, right? Something's not working with my website. I can't figure out the
Mhm.
CRM. My freaking email sequence disappeared, whatever it is. And I get so freaking pissed and I want to like throw something. But then, and maybe I take the day off, but then the very next day,
Yeah.
I get back on.
Right.
I just get back on. I just force myself to get back on. So yes, I take time off. Yes, I do eat 7 donuts sometimes, but I always get back on.
Mhm.
Always, because it is my obligation and it is my duty as a human being. It has become part of my
Mm.
identity. It is part of my identity to complete the vision that I have in my mind. So I can't spend time lolling around and lollygagging around and being sad. There's no time for that. And
Yeah.
I've just fully committed to that. And I think that's a lot of times where people are missing the point is this whole thought of like their identity isn't quite aligned with the vision yet. So you
Yes,
have to have like an honest conversation with yourself. Like, listen, am I in or it's like marriage. I actually did
that's
compare my
true.
business to a marriage.
Yeah,
You have to be that freaking committed
yeah,
to
yeah.
it. We're like, yeah, you're going to have fights. Yeah, you're going to be mad. Yeah, you're
Hmm.
going to leave the house and slam the door and leave for a few hours and whatever it is. But then you have to come back
Right.
and you have to sit down. You have to conversation. You have to figure it out. And then you have to keep moving forward. It's the
Yes,
same thing.
exactly. And it's that communication with yourself, right? It's that consistency of holding yourself accountable to the dream that you've committed to. And you're right, you're either committed to it or you aren't.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I love that because you do have to, I mean, we're human, right? So things are going to happen, and we have to allow the space to reset. And we give ourselves that reset and then we just keep going.
That's the key. That's the key is allowing that and just being okay with it. Like nobody is perfect. Like I get that a lot. Like Sabrina, I don't
Mhm.
know how you do it. Sabrina, every time I open up, it doesn't matter what app I open, you're the first one on. Like, how are you doing? It's like, girl, it's a mess over here. It's a freaking mess over here. But I'm showing up every day in the mess.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
showing up every day in the mess because this is my thought. As long as I am taking a step forward towards the vision, it doesn't matter how big or small it is, something is getting done. If you envision it like a mountain and the
Mhm.
vision, the ultimate vision for yourself is at the top of the mountain, it doesn't matter if you take a few steps back or a few steps forward or you're on the mountain, stay on the
Right.
mountain. So
Yeah.
many of us were like, we fumble and then we just roll back and just jump off the mountain and go home.
Mhm.
We're
You
not
cannot
freaking
forget it.
going home.
Yeah, yeah.
Stay on the mountain. It's okay.
Well,
You
yeah,
can
because
put a tent up and hang out for a
yeah,
second.
right. And each incremental step you take, before you know it, you're halfway up the mountain.
This is what
And
people don't realize.
right. And it's every little stumble equals something greater.
Absolutely. And the
Yeah.
and the analogy about the tent, like I
Mhm.
feel like that's actually a really good analogy because so many times we want to like jump off the mountain and like crawl in our bed
Yeah.
and just like cuddle up and watch Netflix and basically go home. But what if it was an option where you didn't have to go up or down or back, but you could just settle in a tent and build a
Yeah.
little fire where you're at and just sit there and meditate? Like, that's
Mhm.
actually a really good visual. Like,
Yeah,
you
it
don't
is.
have to revert all the way back. Just set up right there where you're
Yeah,
at and just sit and meditate for a freaking
exactly.
second.
Well, and isn't that the moment that you sit in it, when you're sitting in it and say, "And what else?"
Mm, there you go.
Right? Because then it opens it up for possibility. It opens it up for something new to come to you. And just simply asking that question allows it to arrive because you really, truly, if you think about like the visioning, the vision is already there. Like you said before in the beginning, if you didn't think it, it wasn't for you, but if
Yeah.
you think it, it's yours, right?
Yeah.
And so if you're imagining it's yours, it's already yours.
Yeah.
You already have it. And so to allow yourself to open up to something new allows whatever the next thing is to come because it is already there.
Absolutely.
It's you continuing to open up to it.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I've loved our conversation, and I want to end with what you would like the audience to know, because of course we're going to be putting everything in about Her Nation. So excited about Her Nation Global, and for all of you out there listening or who watch the replay, this is a community that you want to belong to.
Mm.
So we're going to have the links and everything below in both YouTube here on Instagram. But what would you like everyone to know, Sabrina?
Yeah, just the dedication. One of the things that I talk to my ladies all the time about is listen, I am fully dedicated to making this community just an absolutely phenomenal place for women business owners and entrepreneurs to be. And this is the thing, unlike any other community I've ever seen, we're working together as a real team.
Mhm.
So, as much as I am working towards making the Her Nation Global brand so strong, the women within the community are working on their brand, their community, their power, their
Mhm.
voice at the same exact time. So, I think what the coolest thing about where we're at in the business, right, like in time, the
Yeah.
coolest thing about where we are in time right now is we're all doing this together simultaneously. So by the time the Her Nation brand gets to a good point, 5, 6, 7 years from now, my ladies who have been with me are pulling their communities, their brand, their service right along with us. So when we're ready for those stages, when we start really implementing, like, hey, what is this going to look like? Where is this going to be? We've already been on a few stages. We've already got some little ones going here, some little ones going there. We got 100 people here. We got 200 people here. We have 500 people here, right? What is this next step going to look like? The ladies who are here with me now are going
Mhm.
to be just ready to just blast off. And
Right.
it's going to be such a gorgeous thing to do. It's making me
I
emotional.
know, it's so exciting. I know. I really see it.
But it's gonna be just so
Yeah.
brilliant with us just sitting back, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and just being like, damn,
Mhm.
remember when?
Yeah.
Remember
Yeah.
when? And it's gonna be just so gorgeous, just reminiscing in like the hard times and then laughing
Mm.
because there's still hard times, right? There's gonna
Right.
be new hard challenges,
Yeah.
and we're gonna
Yeah.
be like, damn, I wish I still had that CRM challenge.
It's like when you think
Because
about your
now I'm
20s.
dealing with a shit show.
Yeah. Yeah. You thought things were so hard in your 20s, and then you go, "Wow, I was so free," when you're
Yeah,
older, and you don't
yeah,
realize, right?
yeah, and it's
I
gonna be
know.
so awesome just thinking about that. It's gonna be so great, and we're gonna
Mhm.
laugh about it. We're gonna laugh at like, "Damn, these are hard problems. What were we
Yeah.
even thinking 5 or 7 years ago?" And we're gonna be able to laugh, and it's gonna be so cool. And the other thing that's gonna be so cool is being able to share these stories with the business owners and entrepreneurs coming up. Because
Yes.
there's people that are our age,
Mhm.
7, 10, 15 years from now, they're going to be coming and they're going to be sitting in the seats and they're
Yeah.
going to be frustrated about their CRM and irritated and wanting to give up and not understanding the vision. And we're going to be able to say, listen up.
Mhm.
We've been there and listened to this incredible story of
Yes.
how we got right here.
Oh, I love this because you really speak to the heart of expansion.
Yeah.
The expansion of having everyone that's part of her nation now moving and expanding it as everyone continues to grow and expands her nation globally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so exciting. And
Thank
you're
you.
such a wonderful leader. I just feel
Thank you.
so honored to have had you, hop on my new little a soulful pause and be here with me because it really is important to like spread the women that are, conscious and that they are shifting the global paradigm. And I feel like you are one of those women.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here.
Mm.
Okay, everybody. Everything's going to be in the comments for you to reach out to her nation. Sabrina's information will be there, all the links, all the things. And come back next week. Sorry, you have to put up with my dog. He has inside sneezing, and that's what's going on back there. So if you hear that, that's what it is.
I love it.
But thank you so much, Sabrina. It was such a pleasure to have you. And